It's the following morning wasn't any special, nor did the Lau family as active as they usually were. Lana was currently making a few repairs on the fridge since it had taken some damage the other day when falling over on Lincoln. And she's also tightening up the legs up so it wouldn't fall over again. The other's loud siblings sat in their rooms, just staring out their windows in despair over their brother. Lucy lay in their coffin bed with the lid shut, writing a sad poem about nearly losing their dear brother. As Luan here, she sat in the near edge of her bed, just staring ahead at the wall with a forlorn expression, as Rita Lynn Sr. and the two of them sat in their beds, worried out of their minds about Lincoln. I couldn't sleep well last night either. I take it.
No, not really. I just can't stop thinking about Lincoln.
Same here, honey. I can't believe something like this happened. I just don't know what to do.
Do you really think that grounding Luan for a year was the right decision? I mean, banning her pulling pranks and telling puns in this house seems perfectly reasonable, but a whole year of being grounded seems a bit more extreme.
Extreme as it may be, I believe grounding Luan for the rest of a year was a perfectly justified. For what she did was beyond deadly serious, Rita. While Luan may not be deliberating cause Lincoln's accident, she still act recklessly, like she always does with these pranks of hers, and almost got him killed in the process. Especially though, she did every time it's April Fool's, she's starting to do something that's so recklessly that's gonna put our lives in danger. This is exactly the reason why we had to take things to stand right now, because we don't have to be cowards anymore. Especially though the hotel incident and even the stunt actors. It's just all that. She doesn't deserve to be given any leniency for something like this.
True. Yeah, I don't know how Luan will make a living now that she's banned from doing comedy in the family house. Comedy was all that she's known since she was young.
Yeah, it's true. But until Luan moves out of the house, we can't allow her to continue her pursuing that career. If Luan wishes to continue her career as a comedian, she'll have to do once. She move out of the house. I know it sounds like cruel and unfair, but we can't allow Luan to keep doing this what she has been doing in the past 10 years on every April Fool's Day. While I don't have to do so much problem of Luan's telling jokes and puns, simply annoying ones at it. And her pranking that I have a huge issues with.
To be honest, I really don't much care for Luan's puns and jokes, but I've always had a big issues with her pranks that she's always pulled every year on April Fool's Day.
Well, and as you said, Lynn, I just don't know what I'm going to think about it.
And, well, the thing is, it's just how it is. Luan will always find her new ways to prank it is every single year, even after she swore multiple times that she stops. But she still doesn't. We honestly should have stood up to Luan like a true parents would end to put a stop to her pranking sprees ourselves a long time ago. If we had just had a fine that instead of giving in to our fears and getting Luan and letting her have her ways, then it would have been
I don't want to think about it.
just thinking about it is always thinking about what Dr. Lloyd has told us about the Lincoln's conditions and how it will be forever affected his life in the worst way imaginable.
I know, honey. And as much as I don't want to admit it, I can't continue to denying it. The fact that Lincoln's accident was partly our fault as well. While I know that Luan never intended to purposely drop that fridge on Lincoln, it's still our fault for not taking actions when we still had a chance. We honestly should have allowed Luan to pull pranks like this in the first place to begin with. You know, like the stink bombs, and until when she's 10, she put a wild skunks in there and then stink up all over the place. That's why she's grounded for a week because of that. And that's why her prank keeps getting reckless and reckless every time, whenever she's doing pranks. But like the idiots we are, we allowed her to do so. I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself for that.
I mean, we did manage to take a stand, but it's just... It feels so more mature, baby. Like I never done it before, like a long time ago. It's so different. The damage has been done. And Lincoln will never be able to reach his full potential in his life due to his internal injuries and his severe brain damage. Even if Lisa found some way to help him recover, there's no guarantee that he would ever be the same again. I never forgive myself either. I just don't know what to do, Len. I'm too scared to Lincoln. What if something happens to him while he's recovering in the hospital? And how will he be able to live once and you and I are gone?
I'm just as scared as you, Rita. But we shouldn't start panicking. If something happens to you and I, and when our time finally comes, we pass on from old age. Lincoln will have the sisters to watch over him. The doctor even mentioned this, and I have complete in faith in our daughters that they'll see Lincoln through the end.
So do I. I just don't want to be more mature. I don't want to give things a lot more understanding. This is how it all... It's just unnatural. What's that? This device is what I call the MS-3000, or Dream Simulator 3000 for short. Eh?
I take you don't understand what I'm saying, so I'll try to explain it. This device has the ability to create the virtual world within their dreams. Depending on what virtual programs is loaded onto it. There's only one catch. It only works when you're asleep. I plan to test out on Luan in order to help to give her some closure to what she done and trying to move on. And think of it as a form of concealing in a technological sort of way.
Len sleep?
Not now, but later tonight. Once we head off to bed, we'll slip it on the device on Luan and give it a go. I've already programmed the perfect dream simulation into the DS-3000, and hopefully this should help Luan a lot. Afterwards, I'll get started on one of my inventions to try to help Lincoln. Lisa then plugged the DS-3000 into a laptop with a USB cable, run some diagnosis on it to make sure it was fully functioning. But when she sat back down on her table and began working on the blueprints and on her other secret inventions that would hopefully aid in trying to heal some ways of Lincoln's injuries. And once he's out of the hospital, It would take some time to construct due to how complex and advanced the mechanics of this invention was, but Lisa hoped she would be able to complete it before the end of the month, if she's lucky.
What? A hospital? Lincoln is in a hospital? Yes, I'm afraid it's true. I take it that Bobby told you last night. Yes. He told me that Lincoln was in a hospital, undergoing surgery, but he didn't tell me why. But Bobby got really upset when I asked him about it and walked over to the room. Well, it's a long story. I need to warn you that you're not going to like it one bit. Well, okay, what happened? So, you see, it's that kind of complicated. Just tell me what happened to him. Okay, well, it was around April Fool's Day. It was 10 a.m. And by the time Lincoln is going to go stand up and trying to do whatever he can to stop Luan's pranks. But unfortunately, one of Luan's prank traps went terribly wrong and caused the refrigerator to fall on Lincoln and nearly kill him. He had to be transported to the hospital in one of these big rig semi-trucks, ambulance they use for the very serious emergencies. Had EMT arrived any later, Lincoln would probably be in the corner freezer vault right now. Oh my God, how bad was his injuries? Very bad. Lincoln's lung was purchased by a broken rib, which had caused to be drained in a broker in the ambulance, and he received a broken forearm as well. That's not even the worst of it. He's been paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of his life. And he got some very severe brain damage. How bad was it? It's not too serious, is it? It's bad. It's far worse than any of the other injuries combined. Lincoln's brain was so badly in damage that his mind reverted back into the mindless of a toddler and suffered memory loss as well. In other words, he's been permanently reduced in a state of a mental retardation for the rest of his life. Because of this, Lincoln will be taking care of the rest of his life as well in regard to being fed, dressed, and bathed, and using the bathroom. Oh, I also forgot to mention that Lincoln will be put on diapers again until he's well enough to reduce on using the toilet. Lori, just tell me you're lying. Just tell me that you're lying. I'm not lying, okay? I'm being serious, okay? Ronnie, I know you're upset right now, but just calm down, okay? I'm not calming down. I can't believe this can't be true. It can't be, really? I wish it was, Ronnie Ann, but this is no joke. I would never lie to something like this. Well, that's true. Can he at least still speak? Yes, but not conservatory. Due to the brain damage he suffered, Lincoln isn't able to speak normally like he used to. The best he can do is to say simple words like mom, sis, dad. Other than that, everything Lincoln says all the incoherent gibberish. Yet he does seem slightly aware of his surroundings. What do you mean by that? Well, let's see. From what I witnesses, Lincoln will seem to react of his surroundings the way that Tyler would. He will react a certain way which around each of us, you know? And it's hard to explain in words, you know, it's just you'll have to see it for yourself if you understand it better. I had to see him. If there's any chance that I will be able to visit Lincoln anytime soon, Yes, we're all planning to visit him in a bit, but you have at least an hour away, so it'll take a while for you to reach the hospital. Also, there's something else you need to consider. And what's that? Remember how Lincoln suffered memory loss because of a brain damage? Well, there's a good chance he may not be recognize you when he sees you, so I thought you should know that you will be prepared when you see him. Don't say that. He won't forgive me. I know he won't.
Lori could already tell from her tone that Ronnie Ann wasn't talking this well at all, but she couldn't blame her. All of Lincoln's friends had been notified by his family earlier about what happened to him, and they were all in edge about it, especially Ronnie Ann. Despite being the toughest girl in her old school, being able to handle almost everything, nothing could have prepared Ronnie Ann for something like this. It's no mystery as to why the death or the possibility for Lincoln to no longer recognize her due to the brain damage. Ronnie Ann didn't want to accept the fact that she may not be end up losing her boyfriend forever. Not even death. Or not through death. But by the possible permanent memory loss? I don't know.
Ronnie Ann, I know this is hard to take in, but trust me when I say that's all the fact we all been to consider. The doctor did say that Lincoln's brain heals over time. He might recover some of his memories, but not all of them, due to how serious the damage done to the temporal lobe was. Also, Lisa's told us that she'll try to see if she can try to construct a new invention and that might heal some brain damages once Lincoln returns home. But she'll need a fully extreme him in order to see how bad the damage actually is in order to determine whether or not she can still fix some of it. Is that even possible? I know Lisa is a portable genius, but I don't know if she could fix injuries as serious. Neither do I. Lisa even said that she may not be able to fix the damages entirely, but how serious Lincoln injuries are. I can only hope that she'll be able to find a way to restore some of his higher brain functions and his memories. However, Lisa will need to actually stream Lincoln's up close in order to find out what can be just healed or what can't be healed. And it'll be at least a month until Lincoln can return home. So then I'll take that. Lisa will have to wait a month until she can stream Lincoln to try and help him. Yeah, I know this is hard for all of us, but we get through it. I can only hope Luan will as well. Don't mention that dirty prankster name. She's the reason that Lincoln's in a horrible state to begin with. How could she even sleep at night after reducing Lincoln to shell of his former self? I swear to God, I'm going to string in that prankster when I find her. Ronnie Ann, there's no need for that. Luan's probably upset and guilt-ridden by causing Lincoln's horrible accident. By beating her up to a pulp isn't going to solve anything. That won't undo the Luan did. She should be. Why the hell would Luan drop the fridge on Lincoln? She should have known he'll get badly hurt from something like that. Lincoln didn't do it intentionally. One of her balancing feet on a fridge was old and loose, and it broke off when Lincoln hit it. That's what caused it to follow him. Well, maybe if Luan used her head for once and actually checked the fridge for small details like that, this one never happens. I know. Mom and Dad actually pointed out to Luan after we rushed out of Elisa's bunker and tried to help Lincoln. But I can promise that she'll never be pranking everyone in our house or anywhere else ever again. Mom and Dad grounded her for the rest of a year, and now they place her a permanent prank and pun ban on his household. She also be required to help pay Lincoln's hospital bill. And judging from how surgery the doctors perform on him, they won't be that cheap. Laurie, do you honestly think that Luan's going to give up pranks that easily? Honey, and I honestly thought that long and hard. And to be honest, I think after seeing what her action caused, she's never going to want to prank anyone ever again. I honestly don't know about that, Lori. However, from what you told me, I have to admit that you have the point. I could possibly see Luan's coming from her sense after putting her own brother in hospital, which I imagine was a huge eyes opener for her. Yes, I have no doubt about that all. Luan is crying her eyes out in Lincoln's room the other night, as she was begging for her forgiveness for us. About an hour ago, for all the pranks she pulled on us each year. Yeah, I don't think Luan's going to be pranking anyone again anytime soon, if not ever again. Well, that'd be a big relief. Yes, it is. But I'm so worried about Lincoln. I can't imagine what he's going through right now in the hospital. Lincoln probably has no clue what's going on around him because of his brain damage. And I'm worried that he might end up hurting himself in the process because of it. My thoughts exactly also. How is Lincoln going to get around in the house of that he is paralyzed and the wrist down? Mom and Dad said that they'll have to install the stair lift system to the stairs that Lincoln will be able to get up to the top of them. Lorna agreed to help install it since she's a wit with gadgets. Will Luan be helping to pay for it like it with Lincoln's hospital bill? Oh, absolutely. Mom and Dad are really checking down hard on Luan. And they're always cracking it hard on Luan for what she's done, since she's the one who caused this commonly. In the first place, they say she's going to help pay for it. And how the hell is Luan's going to afford to help pay for the hospital bills and the stair lift? I know for the fact that those won't be cheap. Mom and Dad are currently looking for the part-time jobs for Luan, and they don't want her working in that joke shop anymore since it's related to comedy. Like I said, they're cracking down real hard on Luan, and that means no being isolated with anything related to comedy. Yeah, I can blame for that. That joke shop would just attempt Luan's to revert back in her old ways, and that's the last thing we want, especially after the incident with Lincoln. I'm not sure if she'd do that after all that happened, but it's honestly not worth the risk. No, it isn't. Hang on, somebody's at the door. Who's there? It's Lenny. We're going to visit It's Lenny. We're going to visit Lincoln in a few hours. Right, I'll be down in a minute. I'm getting going. Ronnie Ann, we're going to see Lincoln in a few minutes. Okay, I'll try to come and see him too. But it might be a while till I got here, since Royalwoods is a few hours away from where I am. That's fine. I'll see you then.